Hey there, my name is Chris Acton with Acton Creative, and this is A Handwoven Experience, episode 45. And in this episode, we're going to talk all about sampling. And some of you are thinking, psh, I don't need to sample, do I? Really? Took me long enough to get the loom ready. I'm just going to dive in. And in a lot of cases, you can just do that. But there are some specific instances when it is worth it to do some sampling. And I'm going to break sampling down into two categories, big sampling and little sampling. So let's start with the big stuff. Big sampling refers to putting on a tiny miniature version of your project on the loom, weaving the whole thing, finishing the way you want, and analyzing the results. Now, why would you take all the time to do this? Well, if you have a special project that you need to come out exactly the right size, or a very specific texture, or you're not sure about your spacing, the ends per inch, and it is worth it for you to kick around the tires, to put on an entire little mini project so that you can see the results. Because it'd be much better to take the time and do a little 12 by 12 square than to put on 13 yards and then find out that something fundamental is wrong with your planning. So that's what big sampling does. It gives you the opportunity to do a little test run and see, was your ends per inch correct? Does the texture the way you want? Did it shrink the amount that you thought? Because nothing's worse than having it shrink too much. So that's where that comes in handy, and it is worth your time. It is worth the hours to put in a little tiny version of your project to get all those things right before you put on the whole Mac Daddy. The other type of sampling is called little sampling. At least that's what I'm calling it now. And little sampling is what you would do at the start of a project. As you're putting the project on the loom, you add, 3 to 6 inches just to play. This is where you are working out the kinks with your pattern. You are playing with the weft, making sure you have the right yarns in your shuttle. It's a great opportunity for that. And I also like to toss in a little sampling at the end. It's pretty common to have a few inches of warp left at the end of your project. And that's where you can play with like a unique fiber that you have that you haven't had a place for yet, and just see how things turn out. It's another opportunity to play, which then might just spark some great ideas for your next project. So those are the two types of sampling and how you can incorporate those into future projects. You don't have to sample every time, I promise. If you're doing a towel project and you've done 1,000,000 towels, don't worry about it, just dive in. But if you have something new and you want to get it just right, consider either doing a miniature version of your project, some big sampling, or at least giving yourself some inches at the beginning of the project to make sure that you have everything right where it's supposed to be. So hopefully that helps and gets you thinking for future projects. And that's the good stuff for this week, my friends. I hope you have a great week and happy weaving.